Getting your first car will give you freedom beyond anything you've ever experienced before, but there's a lot of traps you'll fall into if you're not careful. A lot of people will make mistakes that will cost them so much money and they don't even realize it until after the fact and it's too late. In this video, I'm going to prevent you making those traps and get you driving for cheap as possible. We'll chat about how to get cheaper insurance, what cars you can look at and actually be able to get insured on. We'll talk about MOTs, petrol, upgrading your car, and loads more. Now, this video is going to save you hundreds, if not thousands of pounds, so pay attention and make some notes if you really need to. Let's get started with the car itself. So the initial car you're going to want to buy, if you've been doing your practical or you're doing your theory, you'll probably be looking at cars already. First of all, let's get it out there. I know like everyone wants an M2 competition or a C63 AMG, but I'm sorry to break it to you, it's not going to happen for your first car. You've got to realize, first of all, you're going to ding this thing up. It's your first car. It's the first time you're ever driving. You're going to make mistakes.
You can't park there, sir.
Although you may think you're not, you may think you're a great driver, you will tap it on something, you'll ding a door on something, something will happen. And if you do ding it, you want to be able to fix it. If say it was a really bad thing, you'd be able to fix it for cheaper. Like fixing a door on a Renault is going to be much cheaper than a Mercedes. Really got to realize you're not going to be able to get a massive engine car. The biggest engine you'll be looking at is a 1.4. I wouldn't go any more than that, otherwise insurance either won't touch you or will touch you for like 10 grand a year. And again, we're trying to do this as cheap as possible because the idea here is we get a couple years of no claims discount and then you can start moving into the M2s, the M2 competitions, whatever you want. It's basically when you buy a year of insurance and you don't claim on it, so you don't crash into anyone, you don't do anything like that, so you don't have to claim on your insurance, you'll get a year of no claims discount. That's what we want to do. The more years no claims, the way cheaper your insurance becomes. The first year of your insurance is insanely astronomical compared to your second year. My first car was a 2010 Renault Clio. Now the first year of insurance, so the first year was about £1,300. Then after I got my 1 year of no claims, it dropped to like £700. When I had 2 years of no claims, it then dropped to £400. And again, this is with the same car. So this is why the no claims discount is so important. So for your first car, we need it to be cheap and we need it to be reliable, but it can't have an engine size of more than a 1.4. And I wouldn't recommend getting any cars any older than like 2008-ish and no newer than like 2016 because the value of it will be too high and then the insurance will also be quite expensive. What I recommend is whatever website you're using, whether it be Auto Trader or anything like that, if you change the filter so the max engine you see is 1.4, ideally look at the 1.2 or 1 litre if you want really cheap insurance. Like there's some 1 litre cars like the Citroen C1 that I remember looking at quotes for and I could get for like £900 for the year. Obviously it's less powerful of a car and maybe a little bit less fun, but you're going to be saving a lot of money. I mean, that's like what, £300 difference already on the first year alone. I don't know why you do this anyway, but don't look at anything crash damage, don't look at anything category N or anything like that. It needs to be a fresh, clean car. And for your first car, you're probably not going to be able to get into, or you definitely won't be able to get into any brands like Mercedes or BMWs or any of the fancy ones like that. You're going to be looking at like Citroen, Peugeot, Renault, Volkswagen, cars like that. So insurance, this is a big part of the car buying process, and how you're going to be insured on a car is going to cost a lot more. In fact, sometimes it'll cost more than the car itself. I recommend you do is when you're on these websites like Auto Trader and stuff, you're looking at, so you do the filters like change the year, so you're looking at a certain year period, and then change the engine size to 1.4, change the miles so that it's not too crazy on the miles, and then have a look at what models of car you can get. So it'll be like Renault Clio, Citroen C1s, Peugeot 208, stuff like that. You get a general idea of what type of car or brand of like, style of car you like or want, and then you can kind of look more into that specifically and like what is a good model of that. Say a Renault Clio. If you like a Renault Clio, you can then look at, okay, I want one that looks like this, or you'll be able to spot a better deal. Once you found the car or you found the rough like model of the car, so say it is a Renault Clio, what you want to do is find the license plate of the car you're either looking at or one that's similar to one you'll probably end up buying. Get the license plate and put that into comparethemarket.com. What you want to do is fill out all your information. This is what we're going to get you like basically a fake quote of the insurance of this car. You can do this completely for free. You don't need to pay any money and you don't need to buy the car either. There's a little box where you can just say, I haven't purchased this car yet, and then continue on with the details. Also, pro tip, if you're going to be doing this with a lot of different cars, if you make an account with Compare the Market, you'll be able to save all your details. So all you need to do is put the car reg in and then you can kind of like fast forward it. You don't have to fill out all your details all the time because it just takes a while. So to get cheaper insurance, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple of variables, because a lot of the insurance that you like, all the details you fill out, you can't lie on. This is very important. Do not lie on any of the details. Even if you think it will cheapen your insurance, don't do it. If you don't park your car on the driveway, don't say that you do, because it could void your warranty if you do. Say you got in a crash and you said, oh, I parked my car on the drive, and there's no driveway of your house, they could cancel your policy because of it. I'll show you what you can change and like kind of alter and like play around with, and that will be completely fine and won't get you in trouble. But for certain things like your name, how long you've been living at places, all that kind of stuff, you have to put that in as it is. The first thing you can change is the voluntary excess. So this is whenever you got into a crash or anything like that, say you dinged your like side mirror, if that costs say £250 to replace, £250 to like fix that, if your voluntary excess is £100, you're saying that you'll fork up the first 100 and then the insurance provider would fork up the other 150. Also, just as a pro tip, at this point, you wouldn't want to claim on your insurance for £150 to fix the wing mirror. You'd rather just pay the 150 because your insurance premium will go up the second year because you don't have a year of no claim. So say it costs you £1,200 to get the first year of like insurance, it'll cost you again £1,200 instead of it being like £700. So that difference, you might as well just pay the 150 and fix the mirror yourself and not claim. I hope that made sense. So the voluntary excess is what you're going to put in. So you say just for now, just put it as £100. The next thing that will help lower your insurance premium is if you're on your driving license, there'll be a little number. It'll start with your last name and that'll have a string of numbers and letters after it. You put that into your like quote when you're searching for it, it can help lower it as well. Now, another big one is using named drivers on your policy. So this is very key. Listen up here. You need to be the main policy holder of the policy itself. So you need to be the main policy holder, but you can add additional people onto the policy as like additional drivers. So you're the main policy holder and then they're additional. Now, these people are not your mates. Don't put them on because their driving experience is terrible and they'll actually increase your premium. What you want to do is put like people like your parents or any guardians you have who've been driving a long time. If you put, ideally you put like, if you have a mother and a father, put those both on. And if they've been driving for like 25 or 40 years or however long they've been driving, then you'll be able to get their years of no claims discount to help you a bit. It'll probably knock off a good like £200-300. So once you've done all that, you've put all your information in, you've put all the additional drivers and all that kind of stuff in. If you get quotes, you'll see a list of quotes come up. Now what you want to do is tinker around with little bits. So you can either tinker around with the voluntary excess because you'll be fun, like it would be weird sometimes. I've found for me personally, if I have like £100 of voluntary excess, if I put it to 0, I actually get cheaper quotes. It's the same with miles. When I was renewing my last insurance, I had like 5,000 miles, I think, just put in just as like the standard number. But I was like, oh, if I'll have a look, I'll play around with it. And I put it to 10,000 miles and I actually dropped it by like £50. So I got 5,000 extra miles for £50 less. As a general rule, if you put anywhere from like 7 to 10,000 miles, you probably won't run out of miles and it'll be fine. So play around with the voluntary excess, play around with the miles you're going to be using. Those are certain variables you can do to try and drop the price a bit, but there's not going to be like, you can't rely on any of the other things. So there's only so many things you can change. I'd also recommend taking on the additional drivers and taking them off, taking maybe one on, leaving one off, and just play around with that and see if anything drops the price significantly. Let's talk about the running costs of running a car. Now, how much is it going to cost with petrol, MOTs, tax, all that kind of stuff? So when you buy the car initially, when you buy your first car, you're going to need to tax your first car. Now, depending on the car, the tax will be slightly different. If it's a really economical car, it doesn't emit many emissions, it'll be really low tax. Whereas if it's like, you know, kind of a standard or an older car, you'll be paying about £120, £140 in tax for the year. Now you have two payments. You can either make it in a year's payment of like £120 or whatever it is for your car. And you can find this out by just Googling how much the tax is for a Renault Clio or whatever. Or you can pay it in 6-month chunks. So you can pay it every 6 months, you can pay the tax. Petrol is a bit of a trickier one to like tell you because obviously it'll depend on your MPG, so miles per gallon of your car specifically. If you've got a really efficient car, then you'll be paying less in petrol. But a good rough ballpark is if you're using it every day or like 5 days a week or something like that, you'll probably be paying every like £50 every 2 weeks. So the price of an MOT is fixed. It's about £60 to get an MOT of your car. Now that has to be done every single year, and you'll find that out if you type in on the government website your car when I need it MOT'd. You put the right registration number in, you'll find out when you need to insure it and tax it and MOT it. So the £60 for the MOT is assuming that nothing goes wrong, it passes the MOT fine, there's no issues or anything. So that'll just be the MOT certificate itself and the labour done to take the MOT. But what I'd recommend is throughout the year you build up like a little sinking fund of maybe what I would probably put away is like, you know, roughly 10% of the price of the car. So say you bought a £1,500 car, you'd have £150 that you're just like adding to a pot over the year, just so that if anything goes wrong, like if you need to replace a tyre or something like that, it can help towards that. And if you get away with, you know, no problems on your MOT, then just keep that and wait for another year, because trust me, you'll get to a year where all 4 tyres are blown and you need to pay like 400 quid for it. It just helps lessen the damage of when that MOT comes up and you like have to, you know, because you don't know what the bill is going to be. It could be like 60 quid or it could be like 260 quid. You just don't know. Also, pro tip, and I wish someone had told me this when I started, is when you're getting petrol, because obviously you're going to be filling up petrol like for a long time until electric vehicles take over the world, you'll be filling up your car with petrol. You might as well get the points because you're already spending the money. So you get the points. So either go to, what I personally do is I go to a Tesco garage and I'll use the club card points, because then you get like 30 points or whatever for filling up for £30. And I also use my credit card and that gives me cashback rewards, or it gives me Avios airline points. So, you know, use different credit cards will give you different points, but I'm getting double the points. I'm getting Tesco club card points and I'm getting the credit card point. I'm paying that credit card off in full. Never carry a balance on your credit card. That is a big no-no. Don't do that. So yeah, you're getting double the points and you're getting some credit building history as well, which is really good. So if you've got a credit card, then just put the petrol on it and then pay it off every month and don't touch it after that. Now, if you want to get your money working for you in some other ways and make some more money on your money in 2023, 2024, watch this video here because I'll show you why there are some exciting things happening this year that you don't want to miss out on.